We're on like right now.
It's not showing.
And we're live. Welcome to the NASCAR Live Chat with Hamm, the Engine Man. And if you don't know me, I'm a 25-year NASCAR engine builder. Retired last year in 2019. I was a 7-year jackman. And I'm an owner of Hamscapes, landscaping, equipment repair, and restorations. And radio personality here at WAME Radio, Real Country 92.9, and also WAME Chillbilly. And I have got the privilege today of having a special guest. Introduce yourself, Mike.
I'm Mike Hill.
Mike Hill.
Former Cup crewman for many years.
Many years.
Many years.
He was crewing whenever I was still in diapers, let's just say. So way back in the 70s. And we've been talking here for a little bit, probably 30 minutes, talking about some of my all-time favorite drivers, like Darrell Waltrip and David Pearson. And he was on the team with those guys. And Junior Johnson, of course, as a team owner. Did you know Junior when he drove any, or was that before your time? I mean,
that was before my time. I got to listen to him on the radio and got to listen to my dad fuss at him for blowing the engine up. Junior would get out front by, a lap and a half, and my dad would start telling him to save the engine, and then it would blow up, and my dad would get all mad.
Oh, yes. So it was.
Junior would blow him up.
No holds barred with Junior. He was heavy, foot to the pedal. I guess because he was so used to running the moonshine, where he got started. Pretty much, you've all heard that story. But let me know if y'all can hear Mike, okay? Because I got the microphone basically is in my computer and it's right here in front of me. One of these days, I'm going to get it to where I can hook up into, like, let's say the studio microphone. All that stuff is what I'm thinking down the road when we get in our new studio. I'm going to work on that. But thanks everybody for tuning in. We have Tracy Hamm, who's actually sitting right here. She's hiding, I think. And Chad Hyder, Rachel Rodman, Terry Quinn, Tom Robinson in Indiana. Chad Hyder's up in Ohio. Terry Quinn is in Oklahoma. And Mike Bear thinks he likes my shirt, the Ford. Stephen Mosley, who is Delo's son, I believe. And like I said, Chad Hyder, Rachel Rodman in Charlotte. Tom's in Indiana. What's up? Yes. And Super Jason, and then D-Rob. What's up, everybody? Hope y'all had a great day. It was nice here today. It was supposed to rain all day, and then it finally just started raining about 5 o'clock. I guess it was on our way here. So we're going to talk today about the Daytona 500 race that just happened yesterday. It was rain delayed to Monday since it rained on Sunday, of course. But, it was really cool that the President Donald Trump was down there to be the Grand Marshal. So I thought that was something you haven't seen in a long time. Were you there whenever Ronald Reagan came in?
Yes.
1982 or 80 or 82?
80s and 80s. But the Bushes and the Reagans, and then even
Jimmy Carter.
Jimmy Carter, of course. And then we had Clinton come to Darlington, Missouri.
Oh, okay. Clinton came to Darlington. So today we're going to do the rundown of the race. That would be the duels and then the Daytona 500. I'm going to do the finishing order, the point standings, talk about the NASCAR Cup, Xfinity, and Truck Series news and announcements and happenings. We'll do a little bit of Q&A. So if y'all have questions for me or Mike, you can chime right in and we'll answer them here in a little bit. And I'm going to do a Hamm's Hanky, which is something that I started doing in 2019. So that kind of puts my opinion on certain things, and I have a few that I want to talk about tonight. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notification to be notified whenever I go live, and I'll be going live every Monday night during the NASCAR season about 7:30, and we'll talk about some NASCAR. But you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, and I also finally got my website started, DHamIam, which kind of links to all my different pages and things going on. And then you can listen to me on the radio some mornings and then some evenings at 5 o'clock right here on WAME Real Country 92.9 and also on WAMEradio.com. You get that listen button. So check us out on there. And also check out my podcast, Hamm The Engine Man. Just do a Google search for Hamm The Engine Man. So the Daytona race rundown. This is how the race ended here. Well, actually, we're going to go over the Daytona Blue-Green Vacation dual races. Back in the day, it was the old Gatorade 125s or 150s You remember the Gator?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So before the dual races, I mean, I guess it's probably always been that way. I'm just trying to remember way back, because I've been a NASCAR fan my whole life, but I didn't always pay attention to that they were racing on a Thursday.
Yeah.
But it just seems like.
My dad used to go to the track on Thursday.
Yeah, your dad used to go, but it seems like they used to be at the racetrack from like either Wednesday or Thursday, and then every day.
We were at the track for 2 weeks. We have a stack of passes that was 2 inches thick.
And that was
you had to hold on to those passes because you had to get one every morning to get into the racetrack.
Oh my gosh, yes. That was for Daytona, I'm assuming.
That was just Daytona Speed Weeks.
Speed Weeks, yes. That was one of the worst things whenever I had to get to the track, go sign in, and go through all that, and then they come out with the annuals or the hard cards, and that was so much better whenever they did the old hard card. Made things a whole lot easier. So let's see, the finishing order of the first duel, the winner was Joey Logano, and Joey looked like he was going to be strong all weekend, and he was, but we kind of had our typical wrecks is what happens with the leaders wreck nowadays versus back in the day. You didn't want to be kind of in the middle of the pack because that's where the wreck was going to happen. But nowadays, the past several years, I'm not really sure what's changed, but it seems like the leaders always wreck. So we had the first car was, like I said, Joey Logano, and we had 5 Fords, 3 Chevys, and 2 Toyotas in this first duel. And it was Eric Almirola second, Ryan Newman third, Brad Keselowski, Bubba Wallace, Austin Dillon, Martin Truex, Ricky Stenhouse, Christopher Bell, and Chris Buescher rounding out the top 10 in the first duel. And this was Joey's second win in a duel. I guess that would be in his career. All right, the second duel was the winner was William Byron, and it was 6 Chevrolets, 3 Fords, and 1 Toyota in that top 10. And that was Jimmy Johnson was second, Kyle Larson, Kevin Harvick, Cole Custer, Eric Jones, Matt DiBenedetto, Kurt Busch, Ross Chastain, and then Tyler Reddick rounding out the top 10. And this was William Byron's first win of any kind in a Cup Series race. So how cool for them. And that's kind of a shot in the arm for the old Hendricks because they've been struggling over the past several years. Yeah, they've really struggled to do anything. So the 2020 Daytona 500 top 10 finishing order. When was the last time you were at a Daytona 500, Mike?
2000.
Because that was mine. My last one was in 2000, and then I was there for the Busch race in 2001. All right, so the 2020 Daytona 500, as I mentioned, the Grand Marshal was Donald Trump. Gentlemen, start your engines. And Tracy was saying, shouldn't he say, or what is he going to say? Driver, start your engine. I said, well, there's not any female in this race. So,
he was politically correct.
He was that time.
Yeah. All right, so there's 7 Fords in the top 10. 7 Fords in the, is that right? 2 Chevys and 1 Toyota. Okay. So Denny Hamlin, he won the race, obviously. He has won 3 of the last 5 Daytona 500s. The fourth Daytona 500 win for Joe Gibbs Racing. All right, the second was Ryan Blaney, who was the Ford that we thought was going to win. Actually, it was between him and Ryan Newman right there at the very end. It really looked like Ryan Blaney might pull it off or Ryan Newman. But you all saw what happened there with that bad wreck. And our thoughts and prayers go out to Ryan Newman and his family because, that was a horrific wreck. I mean, that car got up on its top like this, and then Corey LaJoie hits it right there where Ryan Newman was. And then it lands on the track, and then it skids right there on that same spot where Ryan Newman was sitting. What did you think about that? Did that remind you of any wrecks in the past?
It was, it reminded me of Jeffrey Bodine's truck wreck where he was up in the air and the truck was coming apart. But once Ryan's car got hit and then it started sliding like that, you got concerned about the cage. The bars are thick. They got 090 wall bars in there, but you grind them, they're gonna grind in too.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So it was really great to hear late last night. I wasn't going to bed until I heard something. It was really great to hear that he was awake and moving. Yeah. Before I went to bed.
I agree. I was feeling the same way, and it was such a relief whenever I heard it was okay. It kind of reminded me that the way that it was grinding like that, the old Russell Phillips wreck at Charlotte. whenever he got up on the side, but he was running along the fence and it was just grinding away at the car,
Yeah.
But like you said, they'll just grind away. But yeah, that was, thank God he's all right though. He's talking to his family and his doctors today. That's right, Cheryl. And we were kind of all sending each other messages and yes, Darla's asking me a question. We were all messaging back and forth today, just trying to get updates on what was going on with Ryan Newman. So yeah, here's the order. I'll go back to that again. Denny Hamlin won, of course. Ryan Blaney was second. Chris Buescher was third, so that was a great run for Chris. And I think he's going to do great things there in that 17 car. David Reagan was fourth. And what do you think about David Reagan? Who's going to go in the 6 car? I mean, I don't know. They're going to have to put somebody in there, I do believe, for a little while. I just thought about David Reagan, but Kevin Harvick's 5th, Clint Boyer 6th, Brandon Gaughan, Corey LaJoie, Ryan Newman officially, I guess, finished 9th. I thought he finished a little bit further up because I know he crossed the line.
Yeah.
But this is what I have in my notes. And then Kyle Larson 10th. If these notes don't look right to anybody, let me know, because I believe that is the finishing order that came from NASCAR.com. So Ricky Stenhouse and Alex Bowman were on the front row for the Daytona 500. So we got a comment from Tom Robinson. He says, Mike, what's your opinion of the direction that NASCAR is heading in? I love racing, but I hate this package and all the talk of spec engines, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, there was an argument back before this that there was no racing because you had cars that were getting out in front and everybody wanted it to be more competitive. And then we got them together and then they do anything but wreck. But it's going to be hard to please everybody. There's got to be a fix to this, though. They got to stop them from using those bumpers again. At one time, they forbid them to using the bumpers. They keep bumping everybody. How many wrecks did we see because they were hitting each other?
Bump drafting.
Just bumping.
Yeah.
They're going to have to stop that for sure. I don't know about the other stuff that's going on now. It's going to be tough to fix.
That's a good point there. Because I saw one of the wrecks definitely that Joey calls. I mean, he was bumped. Right. He was bumping. I'm trying to remember who he. I guess it was Brad, maybe. No, did he? It wasn't Brad. He was bumping. I can't remember now, but yeah.
But they get the bumper on the guy in front of them, and they keep bumping him right into the guy in front of him, and so that's what happens. You saw that they just pushing. They're pushing this guy, and then this guy hits the guy in front of him, and that guy in front of him wasn't expecting it, and so they're all wrecking.
Right. Yes, and then it's just carnage after that. It seems.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so Ricky Stenhouse and Alex Bowman were on the lead or on the front row for the Daytona 500, as mentioned, and failed to qualify was Chad Fincham, J.J. Yaley, and Daniel Suarez. So Ryan Blaney and Corey LaJoie had to go to backup cars due to being in wrecks in the duels, and Denny Hamlin felt tech several times. Brendan Poole had an engine change, and Ty Dillon had a transmission. BJ McLeod had to change a gear. So William Byron was the fastest in first practice. Joey Logano fastest in the second practice. And I might skim down through some of these. Toyota, who only had 5 cars in the season opening race, sat out in the final practice. They ran 8th and 12th in the first practice. Okay. Oh yeah, you saw the president took the lap around the track. I thought that was pretty cool. In the big limo, 22,000-pound limo, and I wonder how much horsepower that thing has in it too. To carry that much weight around.
So at least 120 minimum.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? Somebody sent me a text saying that they said it's got a Roush Yates engine in there, and I said, yeah, isn't that cool? It was Brian Spencer's up in Pennsylvania. I said, isn't that cool? And he said, well, I don't know if it really has a Roush. And I said, no, I mean, it's cool that the presidents are driving around the track, in the
Cadillac engine.
In the limo.
Cadillac engine. There you go.
Well, I got Stephen Mosley. Joe Logano was racing. I don't think he was out to put Brad Kay out of race. No, that's for sure. I don't think he was either. But I'm just saying some of the stuff. They're doing some bump drafting, and with these new cars, I mean, you can't. Whenever they go and do the testing and stuff, I don't see them out there bump drafting and testing this. But who knows what it does with these big spoilers on the cars? When they get up there bumping. it's very possible that they can't do that anymore, but I don't know. David, what happened to Kyle Busch's engine other than it wasn't handcrafted Roush Yates' engine? Rachel's asking me what.
Yeah.
And but I'm not really sure. I didn't hear. I heard that he blew, if I'm not mistaken, but I haven't heard. And that's one of those things you don't usually hear, especially if it comes from another competitor. I do remember back in the day when you're at the track. I say back in the day, 10, 15 years ago, that they would actually take the engine apart and people could watch. But nowadays they take them back to NASCAR Tech. I mean, to the NASCAR in Concord.
Yeah.
And take the engines apart over there.
It definitely had a problem smoking out the pipes.
Yeah, chances are, if they were trying something different or whatever, but sometimes they'll drop a valve or break a valve spring or something like that, and then that kind of changes, or whenever the valve drops, it'll start smoking like that. It's pretty telltale. And Billy's messing around. So I'm in the radio station studio here where we broadcast out of, and Billy, he's on his computer from his house right now changing things. I just saw it start. You can sit here and watch everything that he's doing. He'll get it set up for in the morning for the 6 o'clock. Yeah, just right. So yeah, of course I get distracted by that. Oh boy. All right. So after the president exits off the track, since it was the final Daytona 500, Jimmy pulls up to lead the parade lap. Yes. Dale Earnhardt Jr. waved the flag to start the first points race of the season after about an hour of a rain delay. So I think they ran about 20 laps, and then the rain come out, and they did that. So
Paul's asking a
20
question.
laps.
I don't know if it's a question or if it's a statement, but he says, David, too many screws didn't get tightened on KB's engine.
Well, yeah, I mean, that could be too. Too many screws didn't get tightened, or bolts, or nuts. And yeah, I mean, I guess that happens too. I mean, we actually had, this is, I don't work there anymore, but this is going back probably 15 years ago with Roush Yates. And we had an engine that got put into Ricky Rudd's car, and the guy that was building at the time, and he actually ended up getting fired, but he didn't torque the main. I'm fanatical about torquing everything that I work on nowadays.
Now, I do know for a fact, whenever you were at Roush, I've witnessed this myself. Whenever you would tighten something, you'd mark it with a marker.
Yes.
And that was how you knew.
Those torque stripes.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. After I work on something, I torque it for sure. I torque it and I mark it with a marker.
Yep.
I had a message coming in, and I was going to see what it was saying about. And had to
My
do
guys still do that today. They'll torque it, and they'll take like an ink marker and mark the bolt to let them know. Yeah, I torque that.
Yeah, that's smart. I mean, it kind of takes away your
Buffering.
Is it buffering?
I'm buffering.
No, you are okay. All right, I got off there. I had a message on my messenger, and I was going to read what it said because it said Corey LaJoy. So I was just curious if it had something to do with Ryan Newman. So I'm not going to go through this whole race because I do have a note from like lap by lap and all that stuff. But I have like 11 pages of notes, and we got a lot of stuff to talk about. And we got Mike in here with us, so we're not going to take up. We're going to talk about some interesting and fun stuff in NASCAR, not necessarily. So Mike worked with Junior Johnson.
That's what Tom was asking. How many different teams did Mike work with?
There you go.
Different teams.
How many different teams? I guess
Started out with
be.
Cecil Gordon, then I went to Junior Johnson. Then I went with a guy named David Blair, who ended up getting the 27 car in the end. I helped David, and I went to Larry Hedrick here in Statesville. Then I went to be Dodge's research and development director, so I worked with all the Dodge teams. And then, how many is that? So, yeah. Now I'm working on a Daytona prototype, what they call a Cadillac. It looks like a spaceship, but I sent Donald Trump my cap. It's got Cadillac racing on it since he's been making laps around Daytona. I'm gonna let him wear my cap.
Oh yeah. Very cool, man. Good stuff. So he worked for Junior Johnson back in the day up there, and so you do live up there?
I live there, yes. I live in Engle Hall.
Engle Holler. Very cool. So you're you're working now for a different type of racing. But you worked with Gary Nelson also,
Yes.
who was the former president.
Yeah. Gary and I used to be like oil and water. You know. Now I'm working side by side with him. So Gary was Bobby Allison's crew chief in '82. Whenever Junior made me and Hammond and Doug Richard crew chief on the 11 car, and it was a tooth and nail fight to the end of that year, and we won the championship. And I think Gary had bad feelings about it. He got over them.
Mm-hmm. Was that was it Dygard?
He was with Dygard, and we had the Mountain Dew car. We won 12 races that year with the 11 car.
Yeah, 11 Mountain Dew car, Darrell Walter.
Yeah.
Very cool. Rachel's asking, Mike, do you have any favorite memories of Junior? It was heartbreaking to hear of his passing, but I see him racing at the Speedway in the Sky.
Oh, yeah. I got great memories. You know, when I went to work for Junior, he was like my hero. I mean, he was the guy that my dad would sit and listen to driving race cars. And so I was like, wow, this is a legend. And he told me one day, he said, we're gonna go down to Charlotte. And he said, I need you to grab the company car and swing by and pick me up. I said, okay. So I'm driving him down the road, being real careful not to swing the legend around. He's sitting beside me, you know, and I'm driving him, and I'm being real careful, driving down this little 2-lane road. And he finally looks over at me, and he says, boy, if this is as fast as you're going to go, you need to pull over and let me drive. And from that point on, and 15 years later, I was his driver.
Yeah.
Because we went fast.
All right. You got the green light.
That's how I drive, too fast.
You wouldn't believe how many times I got pulled over by the highway patrolman. And I would be sitting in the car with the highway patrolman, and he'd be wanting to speech me. And I'd tell him, I said, look, you need to go ahead and write this deal. That man needs to get where he's going. He says, what man? I said, the man sitting in that car up there. He says, who is that? And I said, it's Junior. And he'd say, Junior Johnson? And I said, yeah. He said, you reckon he'd sign my ticket book? I said, as long as I told him, as long as you don't write me anything out of the ticket book.
No fees attached.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So yeah, it was a great time. If Junior was still racing, I would still be working for him. That was the deal.
Mm-hmm.
He was a great man.
Very cool. That's
I would say that's your favorite person that you've worked with.
Without a doubt, yeah.
I know going out to Robert Yates's farm, he said that he thought there was some old steels there on his farm. Well, he knew there was some down in the creek.
Mm-hmm.
Some on it. We were like, I wonder if they were Juniors back in the day, you know, if his family, you know, the steels in the creek.
Did you get to see them? Was
I
they made out of stainless steel?
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't see
Those were
them.
the first jobs I had to do.
Yeah.
Because I was Junior's welder.
Oh, yeah.
And so one afternoon I was at home, and this guy pulls up. I recognize him. He's Junior's uncle. He gets out of his old car. He walks up to me. He says, Mike, he talked real slow. He says, Mike, can you weld stainless steel? And I said, RC, yeah, I can weld stainless. It's about the easiest weld metal there is. He said, well, I talked to Junior, and Junior said if it was all right with you, I could